coming every week with the ENC updates in the README text files. Unfortunately, being a trainer interacting with various navigators day-to-day basis, very few look through the entire system, README text file. So I have taken the excerpt from here, not the entire notice. But as you can see here, 7th of July 2026, this is 29th of July, so just a few days back. This 7th July, they added some sections. So one of them is important general information pertaining to the Gulf and Strait of Hormuz navigation. Amid ongoing development, it is not always possible to ensure that Admiralty nautical products are completely up to date for the new dangers or changes to aid to navigation and routing measures. Mariners are encouraged to pay close attention to navigational warnings in place and advised to exercise particular caution when navigating. Well, that's what they tell you. What about Ukraine? Now, this is an old notice, but again, owing to insufficient information, it is not always possible to ensure that the Ukrainian ENCs are completely up to date for new dangers or changes to aids to navigation. Mariners to exercise particular caution. Now, Italy, they also have given, and read the words, finally, mariners must never forget that a nautical chart can never be perfectly coincident with reality, being only one of its possible representation. They must always consider the possible presence of particular dangers, therefore consult all the relevant nautical documentation. So all these things we rely on for navigation have washed their hands off in a legal way, but that's what we need to be aware. One of the issues today with ECDIS is over-reliance on the charts on the system. So we need to be aware even the charts, the electronic navigational chart, unlike a paper chart which looks clean, which looks fresh, but the data may not be. This is where understanding the chart data, the survey data, the category of zone of confidence, and analyzing that is become very important. That's where the role of the navigator is very important even today. So with all this electronic aids to navigation, that over-reliance is one of the issues which need to be curtailed, especially in the prevailing circumstances and when you are navigating in any of these areas which welcome. Okay, gentlemen, sorry we started right on the dot at 6 o'clock. So please make yourself comfortable. Okay, shall I continue? Okay, thanks. So now the Red Sea threat environment, a few days back, one of our ships was hit and sunk. So every day something or the other is happening. It's a serious cause of concern. 100 plus attacks have been reported. Drones and missiles have been used. Then AIS posture that is to be adopted while navigating this area is affects the risk because you put it off or keep it on. There are various topics in this, so we'll talk about that. Red Sea threat evolution. Now, Galaxy Leader was one of the vessels hit. Tutor, Magic Seas, Eternity Sea sunk. So threat envelope can shift quickly. Like now Trump and Iran, they have laid their arms down. The conflict is quieting down a bit, but still there have been some attacks going on and ships have got hit right near Aden. So from Hormuz, even the concentration has shifted towards now the Aden and they're talking about the Red Sea. Seizure, sinking, and missile strike cases have been on the rise. Crew safety is primary objective. When we are talking about ECDIS for navigation, the whole purpose of navigation is to safely navigate. And now, in this kind of a prevailing situation with war activities and where the commercial ships are being targeted, we have to take care. So, reporting and coordination matters. So, now regarding the AIS dilemma, we have had this AIS for quite some time, and it's been giving us a lot of comfort in identification of targets, right? At the same time, it has been in congested waters been a cause of concern because of the display getting all cluttered up. But there is filters, the facilities provided by this aid is beautiful. You can identify, not only identify, you can get all the CPA, TCPA of the target. However, this is where we need to understand all that data is dependent upon the position, GPS. And over reliance on GPS, if the GPS is spoofed, your GPS, your own ship's GPS may not have been spoofed, but the targets may have been. And that is where you need to realize mine is perfect, but someone else's is spoofed. That target data may be incorrect if you're relying only on the AIS data. So this is where keeping our head on the shoulder and cross-checking using the functions of radar overlays, using the target acquisition on ARPA, and also the association function. I won't go into the details of that, but this is where understanding these facilities, functionalities are available and they need to be utilized. So decisions must follow current guidance. Now, regarding AIS as per SOLAS, you are supposed to keep it on at all times. However, in view of these conflicts in various areas, they have given that the master at his discretion may put it off for the safety and security of the vessel. So, mine warfare and ECDIS. So, mines are being used very often in these areas. So, first thing, ECDIS cannot determine the or identify the mines. The positions are not available, right? They have not put any AIS on the mines, nor are they identifiable, nor the positions are provided. So mines can be the drifting type, or can be the floating type, can be the sunk type, anchor types. So visual lookout, the most important of navigation part, has to continue. There is no alternative. Now, bridge response on sighting mines. Definitely, it's not going to be labeled or tagged that this is a mine. So, any suspicious object you see, better keep clear of it. So, keeping safe distance, warning other traffic. This is important. When the ships have been hit with mines, the moment you get such information or report, immediately identify where you stand and make sure you identify that area, that those areas will be affected. So, marking and logging the positions not only of yourself, but any of these targets who report sighting mines, because that's not going to come as any nav area warning or anything. So, strategic choke points that are there in the world where high traffic is affecting, and now the concentration is shifting from Hormuz, which is already problematic, but Bab el Mandeb. So, Strait of Hormuz has always been Bosporus and port approaches. Right now, it is not troublesome, but we need to understand all the traffic that is in and outbound from Black Sea, Sea of Marmara, when it's transiting in that area. Anything can happen. Today, Iran got up and said they're going to charge a toll. Tomorrow, Turkey may start doing that. So these developments, now as a mariner, it may not affect us directly. But yes, we are the easiest scapegoats in these areas when we are navigating the ship. So intelligence is critical. Now warnings must become navigation decision. So UKMTO and nav area inputs. These are available. Company and flag guidance. So, for example, in Anglo-Eastern, we have adopted the Fleet Operation Solution by Wärtsilä as a support system, which has provided this information. So, you can see here, they have identified this area as a no-go area for hardening measures as required. So, if the vessel has to navigate, this is a no-go area, and you have to take additional measures. This is all available for the system. And in this military conflict region, this is an area warning which is available and providing in the system. So the company has taken this initiative. Various other systems are also there adopted by some other companies. So GNSS threat to navigation. The three mandatory inputs to ECDIS are the electronic position fixing system, that is your GPS or GLONASS or Galileo. In most of the ships, till recently, we only used to have GPS. Then about 2018, in Anglo-Eastern Captain Chawla's tenure, he decided that we will provide GLONASS systems on all our ships. We are being a management company, the decision, of course, has to be supported by the owners. But this is where that time those ships were fitted, those are reaping the benefits of it when they're navigating through these areas, because the GPS spoofing is much more rampant than the GLONASS. However, in the Persian Gulf and the Hormuz area, both systems are getting this hacked. So, in case of jamming, any system will give an alarm. There will be an alert. But in case of spoofing, there may not be any alert. That is something we need to realize, and that's why the spoofing is more dangerous. So spoofing looks very normal unless and until you practice the good watchkeeping practices, that is verification of position by alternate means, which has been an STCW requirement from times unknown. Right from the beginning, you have to verify your position by alternate means. So even if you have an electronic position fixing system input to your ECDIS, you are required to check it by, normally, if you are in a coastal port approach, by manual position plotting, lines of position to be utilized, radar overlay, ARPA overlay, AIS, checking the soundings and comparing that. All these measures need to be taken. So with the spoofing, the main issue is the false position may be accepted as it was shown in the video. You may not even realize it. You may not even realize such a thing happening. So ECDIS receives the position. Now GPS does not identify the position being incorrect. And in your ECDIS, you are getting the position unless and until you are utilizing the association function, where the target, the AIS and ARPA has been joined together. And when that separates, that can give an alert in your ECDIS or in the ARPA provided. So both the systems can identify, provided you have used that functionality. If you have got two position systems like GPS, GLONASS, in which case it's a performance standard ECDIS requirement that when the positions differ by a margin, the margin which is prescribed by the marina, it should give an alert. However, for that, you need to select. Now, in areas or in ships where you have only GPS, you don't have a GLONASS, in that case, it would be prudent to set the secondary position as DR. The reason is when the spoofing has been taking place, it's not by a few meters, it has been by miles. And the moment that happens, you should be able to get an alert. So over-reliance on position should not take place, especially in these areas, because this can be hazardous. Also, for collision purposes, actually your GPS spoofing should not matter at all. But if you are referring to AIS, the GPS spoofing is going to affect your AIS data as well. So radar visual checks, radars like eyes in the dark, you need to utilize to the best. So ships appearing at impossible locations. So the targets have been jumping on the land, and one of the vessels was going all around and round on the land. So this is the power of spoofing that they're doing by the shore, right? Now, just look at it. Today, they're hitting the missiles with a precision. They're using the same system, but more enhanced, more refined. Whereas we are stuck with a system with less refinement and where it can easily be manipulated. So, position anomalies of targets. So, our own position gets spoofed, maybe looking at the ECDIS, if you have used a radar overlay and all, you identify. But you also need to remember maybe only your vessel is getting targeted, maybe other vessels are not affected. So, when you are looking at the other targets, you need to be aware don't assume that just because your ship's position is getting affected means all the targets nearby are affected. So 117, I don't know whether all the ships have reported, but they have received report from 117 ships as of day before yesterday when I was preparing this, about the spoofing. So large simultaneous position jumps. And now towards this, as I showed you the README text file, this needs to be reviewed. Though the limited information is there, but need to be aware that this kind of spoofing is going to affect your navigation. Now, checking of the AIO, Admiralty Information Overlay, which gives you the areas where these kind of spoofings are more common. Then display modes and pick reports for targets when you're getting any target. Identify that utilizing the functionalities. So jamming, as I showed you in the video earlier, it was means known from 2013. It may have been done before, but 2013 they publicly showed that. And today we are in 26, 13 years later, it has become rampant, especially in all these conflict areas. And it is affecting the navigation and very seriously. So Baltic, the interference persists. A few days back, one of our own ships had got spoofed, and for quite some time they were navigating in a DR mode. But understanding that the vessel was not provided with GLONASS, which would have been, if provided, beneficial. But at the same time, GLONASS is also getting spoofed nowadays. Black Sea disruption continues. The ships have been hit inside the Novorossiysk port also. So out at sea, when you're navigating, so this is where you need to be checking your position. Now, Kaliningrad region, often cited for the spoofing, navigation and AIS are affected in these areas because these areas, there's quite a heavy traffic at all times moving around. So now using the recommended safe routes, especially with the mine laying that has taken place, you need to keep yourself up to date. What are the areas that have been swept for the mines? And what are the areas which are the routes recommended by the local administrations? Keep a monitoring on the VHF for any warnings that are coming up. Coastal warnings need to be monitored, not only on VHF, but all devices, and reporting of anomalies. So, as I mentioned earlier, cannot detect mines or missiles. I mean, by the time you visually sight them, it may be too late. Missiles are too fast. Drones attacks have also been, because our speed may be limited to 12 to 24 knots range, whereas these are going at more than 50 to 100 in that range, whatever types. The GNSS limitations, as I said, though the facility is there, they can precisely hit a spot using the same system for the missiles, etc. We have got a limitation with the system we have where we are not able to check whether it's going off. Yes, the RIIM values and the satellite signal to noise is one of the indications. But how often are we actually checking that? So AIS accuracy also today because of the position system spoofing cannot be accurately verified. So what do we do? First is our own ship's position. So practicing the radar observations, plotting, parallel indexing, using clearing bearing. These are what are the traditional methods what we practice. Those cannot be spoofed. Those cannot be jammed. Even today, they are effective, especially when your electronic systems can be hacked, jammed, or spoofed. The wrong traffic picture. Now, your GPS can give you a wrong position, and with that, your traffic position, if you are depending only on AIS, will get affected. But at the same time, if you look at the radar doesn't get affected with your GPS positions. Yes, some people said if you are using the route on the radar, which is a very common facility now, you can transfer the route from your ECDIS and GPS onto the radar. Again, this is where the over reliance takes place. Remember that route is coming on the radar display because of the position. So if your position is doubtful, don't rely on that route. Don't rely. That is where parallel indexing, if done correctly, will be the best method to navigate. So outdated new hazards. Now we have heard about the mines and mine clearance maybe have been outdated, but now again the same system is coming back. So we need to be aware. So how do we identify? On the ECDIS, you have a track. So one of the first indications of a spoofing is the track shows sudden jump, offset, even if it's a minor amount. And in when I'm conducting the ECDIS courses here, whether for the DG course or whether for the refresher, this is something I simulate without telling the candidate and observe how many of them are realizing it. This is where, because when the GPS spoofing is taking place, nobody is warning you, nobody is giving you a warning. Yes, there is this nav area warnings have been there for quite some time now in all this. But on the system, there will be no indication unless you are looking for it. Radar overlay mismatch. Now, radar overlay should not or is not required to be kept on all the time because it will again clutter up your display. You should not unnecessarily put all the information on the display, which will clutter up and will confuse you or put non-required information. But putting it on and checking every now and then is very important because that will give you the best indication. Course over ground and speed over ground inconsistency. Now, whenever this happens, you will find if you observe on your GPS or the GNSS system, there's a sudden change, fluctuations in the data of course over ground and speed over ground. So, with the downgraded trust, increasing verification, going back to the conventional, reliable methodology of bridge watchkeeping navigation is important. The other method, which is, I think, hardly being practiced, is checking of your echo sounder and checking of the charted depths. This is something needs to be done. We have had a case of inadvertent offset being applied in the ship's position, which was not realized for a very long time because, again, it was not spoofed, but it was a genuine error because this methodology was not used of watchkeep test checking your position, verification of your position by alternate means. So check, verify, communicate, radar parallel indexing, visual bearings and echo sounder, Then masters and companies notification. So this is where I showed you on the Anglo-Asian has got a FOSS system where these areas have been identified, measures have been advised, verification of position. Now, as far as possible, avoid high risk areas. This is somewhere where you need to continuously monitor the development that are taking place. So, for example, for some time it was only in Hormuz where ships were passing in the Aden area. Now, suddenly, now the focus is shifted there. There have been Houthis attacking. So, you need to be aware. Something happened 10 days back is of no use. So, this is where avoiding high risk areas, then plan alternate or abort point. So, when you are on a route and you're going through that, what if? Prepare if there is a sudden attack. A ship ahead of you is hit. What are you going to do? The contingency planning has to be there. How you're going to respond? What is going to be your immediate action? Then, in your bridge team meeting, which is required now, before entering such areas, you need to have a bridge team meeting during which time you need to immediately plan out on what's going to be the course of action in such circumstances. Now, if you witness such activity, maybe you're not being hit, but you see a sight a mine, you see a drone attack, or likely drone attack, report that. Make sure this information is passed on so that others can also take precautions. Standard message formats are there, which can be even plain text. Update the passage plans. Well, but immediately having these alternate plans is always important. So every target must be validated. I mean, definitely in these areas, if you see today, even though there's so much of attacks taking place, almost there are still quite a lot of ships over there. They're all waiting to take the oil. But you will see so many targets. What is important is identify which can be the targets which can be cause of concern. There will be ghost or displaced targets. Now, it would not be a wonder that they can do spoofing or they can also introduce some unknown targets or ghost targets. Then AIS switching off. What do you think? Should the AIS be switched off when you are navigating in these areas? I think good idea to switch off. See, this is where, like, it's good to switch off so that others don't get your location, but something happens to you, they will at least know where is your last position. If your AIS is off, how do you expect someone else to know where was your last position? So that's why they have left it at the master's discretion to take the decision whether to put. Earlier it was saying that don't switch it off, but now having some consideration, the option has been placed that master at his discretion decide to put it off. So, like in a small forum, when we are not in that area, we are in a dilemma what to do. You can imagine the master's position on board the ship. Radar. When you have more danger, you may get attacked if you are off. If you become suspicious, yes. If I'm a non-Iranian vessel, rather I have on. Tell the US military key. Not necessarily. Always the naval of coast guard could be, I mean, their instructions would always be better. Correct, but at the same time, you see, I may be a cargo ship. I can put my identity as a fishing vessel and change all that and be fooling others. Or as a pirates and all, they can. They are not going to say we are pirates. You can modify that, no? You can modify the data what you are sharing. Modify on that. Yeah, on your own. Yeah. Ah, no. Certain certain data cannot be changed.
Data is what is identity of a ship. So it cannot be changed just like that. No. No, only by.
We are talking about cargo ships, sir. What about the?
That was an intentionally done. That was intentionally done. If I am a pirate, I want to give wrong information, then it's a different story.
Exactly.
And is your administration permitting you to switch off your AI? हाँ? इतना बड़ा तो notification आता है every time. You are not supposed to switch off AIS or LRIT anytime unless you inform your administration. No, they are because of this particular reason I am switching off. You just cannot switch off because you are the master.
I agree, but
Inform the administration. You have to inform the administration that for this particular reason I am switching off the AI. When I switch it on, I revert back to you.
perfect. Okay. Suppose my question is very simple. Suppose you inform the administration and administration, no, don't switch it off, and you get hit by a missile or a drone. Is the administration going to take responsibility for that? So that's exactly where, in my personal opinion, I would say that master's discretion in certain cases would be a better deal. Because administration looking at like our own ship got hit and sunk, right? Now,
Slide is interested in LRI. Yeah. They monitor every
LRI.
agreed.
Yeah.
Right. What about AIs?
The static data.
You can't. I mean,
That has already been fixed. The vessel IMO number and all.
So there is to switch
You
off.
can purposely pull it by changing the data if you have a code and other things. But changing the status, underway, anchor, those kind of things.
those can be changed.
But for DG shipping, they have actually they came out with one circular couple of years back for the AIS specifically, and they said that the vessels in Indian waters, doing it only specifically for design for Indian waters, they cannot switch off the AIS. It was mandatory requirement.
Correct. But are we having a conflict like what is going on in Hormuz of going off? So situation changes altogether that we need to take into account. So when you are there in that hotspot, you have to take a decision as a master. Administration, yes, but then you have the safety of people.
Gone out of almost after switching off the navigation light altogether. It's a dark vessel coming out during that time. So those are the measures masters have to take care to take the vessel off.
Correct. But then you put the lights off and you keep the AIS on, anyone can identify,
So they have done it to come out from.
Anyway, so this is where, see, it's a debatable. This is where there are rules, there are laws, we have to comply. But finally, we have to think about the safety of life at sea, safety of the vessel. So this is, when you're talking about safe navigation, now, like when we are teaching here, there are many candidates who have left many companies and joined here. Why? Because the ships are all the time in Hormuz. They don't want to go there. Even DG Shipping has said, don't put our Indian crew on the ships going to the war areas. Yes, but what about someone has to man those ships? We also need oil from there, right? Well, this is a debatable point. Let's go further. So future technology and resilience, layered defense, not a single point. So multi-GNSS and sensor fusion. So now the JRC Furuno mini makers have come out with the GNSS equipment, which is multi-layered. So that is not only GPS and GLONASS. They've got Beidou, they've got QZ, this Japanese one. They also Navik, Indian GNSS. So it is, each country is now want to be self-reliant, Atmanirbhar. Apna system banao, so that we don't get hit by the, you never know when they decide to stop the system or limit it. Now, ELORAN had been functional, but now I think hardly any ships have that ELORAN system, and very rarely heard of. Cyber hardening, very important. And So the new IHO standards that are coming in, now I'm not going to talk in detail about it. So it basically is a change that is afoot that's going to come. The ECDIS equipment performance standards have also been upgraded to incorporate all these changes. So that may improve the situation. It may bring about a lot of changes, but at the same time, the position fixing system, we still need to remember we are, as of today, still depending upon GPS, GLONASS, these other two, and that itself puts a lot of load on the navigation. Unless until we have the other alternative system strongly developed and reliable, and basic navigational practices need to be remembered. Interoperability, no replacement for verification. So this, which was earlier in the quieter days, it was just like a audit for purpose of audit and inspection, that your verification of position, manual position fix. In these areas, it is crucial. So reviewing the README text files, because this is something which interacting with many seafarers, they say, oh, they just every week print it out, file it in the NP133C. No, please read. There are some critical parts like what we read about the Hormuz, about the Ukraine, all these things which are relevant. So whenever you are suspecting going through that area, you need to prepare all the navigators and the ship staff. What can be the impact of this? And register, monitor, report. So war has changed the entire navigational assumptions what we had earlier. Now, safety of navigation is not just making sure you're maintaining your collision avoidance and anti-grounding and not hitting overhead, but also avoiding area where there's attacks from the warships or by the drones, whether intended or unintended. So verification is the important aspect, and judgment remains the final barrier. The judgment to you take on the basis of the information, so you have to take into account all. So drifting hazard. So in these areas, if you have to stop and drift, definitely you're going to be a sitting target. Lookout reporting, additional lookout, conventional putting, for example, mine sighting or small craft or submarines. So you need to put visual lookout, because these may not be picked up by your radar. Those may not be keeping their AISs on. So basically, when we are talking about impact of war on the ECDIS navigation, we need to go back to the basics and carry out the navigation with due regard to what all we had been doing before. At the same time, all this electronic aids to navigation, remember there are only aids to navigation. Over reliance should not be placed on them. And today, as the technology has advanced, they can spoof into any of this. And this is where understanding your DR, which even today, like it is the three sensors. One is your APFS, the other two is your gyro and log. Now, when you're talking about the gyro, cannot be spoofed. Yes, you have a speed and latitude error correction that is coming through your GPS position. But even if that fails, if you see, the effect is not going to be more than 2 degrees on your heading if you take the latitude and speed correction off. So that equipment, that is your gyro or even transmitting magnetic compass, which is provided now, and a log, which are independent of any external sensors or service providers, will be reliant. So your Columbus navigation still works. So please remember that ECDIS is not end all. However, it helps you a lot in all good times. Okay. So any questions, any opinions, doubts?
Uh,
Any information you are feeding as, no, it's not. Any information you are feeding as a company to your staff regarding precautions or the difficulty. Now this, I was working out about 5 months are already passed on this war business. So as an Anglo-Eastern, as a company, are you sending any notices?
Yes, so,
It's over now.
yes.
If you look at it, it is everywhere.
Sorry, I need to go back because I think I covered that slide just before you came. Yeah. So Anglo-Eastern has subscribed to this fleet operation solution with Wärtsilä, and this terminals are there on all the ships can get this information, which is the military conflicts areas, the nav area warnings, all that on their equipment. At the same time, this we have identified this is Anglo-Eastern, the hardening measures, no-go areas, and reporting what all procedures are required to be followed. This has been provided to the ships through the FOS system. So nav area warnings, EGC warnings, all are there. In addition to that, the company has facilitated by providing this. Areas are identified, no-go areas. There are various. In addition to all this, the MARPOL and all those are there. But now with the war situation, for all these areas, yes, Wärtsilä is doing this. And then in this, our own operation center, we are monitoring the feedback, and there are certain areas which are being identified even in before even the administrations have come up. So ships reporting certain areas that they're experiencing some problems, it's been incorporated from the company's behalf. It's not a regulatory thing. So this is what the Anglo-Asian is doing. And as far as the preparation is concerned, we are conducting the ECDIS refresher and route optimization course. So, please do. You're welcome. So, but in that, this is some of the things, like as I said, we simulate the spoofing and then see how many are able to realize and respond. And that's what we tell them. You will not realize if you're not looking for it. So these are some of the things in the
Some particular range beyond which thing will not take place.
well,
The range may not be there.
I have never spoke, so I won't be able to answer that. Maybe.
Get back to you. If we come within so much of distance, we are getting spook signal. And when we are beyond that, we are not getting those signals because it has to be line of sight spooking.
But
Jamming cannot be a line of sight. Jamming is just stop the receiver of the receiving of that signal.
jamming is taking place in various places, especially China.
Over a large area, exactly.
Not only large, even a small area in China and some terminal and some ports, they have got the naval bases. They're close by, so they are jammed. So the moment you come close,
Intent is specific intent.
correct.
Yeah, but if I am at war, if I want to jam signals, it's going to cover a large area along the coastline.
Right.
Correct? Because I'm jamming all the signals that are coming from GPS or Wave or whatever.
Right.
When it's spoofing, my intent is different.
Right.
Spoofing, I want you to get a wrong position. Correct? I want all others also to get wrong position. So obviously that signal is going to be within line of sight.
Right.
When it is line of sight, have your masters reported that when we enter this area, so many nautical miles from the coastline, the spoofing does take place.
So this is one, just before you came, I had screened this video. This was in 2013 when they had done this, and 30 miles off, they were successfully. Now we are 15 years, 13 years later. I really don't know how far they can spoof. But I won't be surprised if sitting here, the technology is advanced, they can go in any area.
Will not be feasible.
Because
No. The strength of the signal has to be commensurate with whatever strength is coming from that.
strength of
Your
the
signal from Mumbai, it is far too high value. It will never spoof. Okay, your GPS receiver is smart enough to know its signal strength is far too high or far too low. It will reject it. So it has to be commensurate with whatever is the signal.
Okay, I'll just go back to this. Just have a look. I mean,
Off the southern coast of Italy in June 2013, a
2013.
65-meter super yacht and
13
her
years
crew
back.
were part of an unprecedented experiment led by the University of Texas at Austin that successfully coerced the vessel off course using a custom-made GPS spoofing device. 30 miles from land, the crew's sense of the ship's location is based entirely on civil GPS signals broadcast from orbiting satellites. A UT student, serving as the attacker, commands the spoofing device to transmit faint counterfeit signals towards the ship's antennas. The attacker increases the power of the spoofing signals until they are stronger than the satellite signals, gaining control of the ship's navigation system. The takeover is stealthy. No alarms are triggered. Once in control, the attacker initiates a 3-degree change to the ship's course. The ship's navigation system reports that the vessel is drifting slowly to the left. The false location is represented here by the ghost ship. The crew applies a course correction to bring the ghost ship back onto the intended path. In reality, the ship is now on the attacker's course.
So this was that many years back. They had the University of Texas guys. I don't know why they experimented here, why they couldn't do it off the Florida Strait or something like that. But they had done this. So today we are, so many years later,
Like features, etc. Yeah, how open CA.
possible. I'm not saying, see, nobody is interested in spoofing a ship which is in the mid-ocean. How would it matter? But if it is happening in the coastal waters, my first fear is running the ship aground or being hit by someone else. So, and they would be interested in doing it, what? Disrupting the traffic in the, like now going to Iran, oil trade. Yes, gentlemen. So with that, I
My understanding as a spoof with just a small equipment would be on a parallel vessel, would be on a helicopter, would be on a
Yeah.
drone, maybe on. What about the possibility of limitations are too many?
Or the possibility of a spoof using satellite somewhere where he has bought some space.
possible. Everything is possible today, right?
Much larger.
Everything is possible. That's the reason why, because earlier we were very happy with GPS and then the Russians had their GLONASS. So Galileo system was started in the European Union and that was purely commercial because nobody wanted to rely on, because these guys had Cold War. Now the other countries have realized that in their Cold War tomorrow they'll say, I will shut off the system to all the other nations. So each one has started doing their own. China was with the Beidou system. India is that Navik system. So today each one wants to be independent. Because, so any other questions? So with that, I close my.
Somebody has.
Yes, so gentlemen, any questions? Sorry, my laptop here.
I've not seen any chats.
Yeah. Any questions from the online guys? Okay. So thank you very much. I hope I was able to evoke. Yes, thank you. Oh, wow. Maybe I'll get a raise with that. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Not what I think. You have to
Yeah. Some areas. So with this, we come to the conclusion of a very interesting topic which was taken up in contemporary time. And I hope some of us are, not been on the real equipment for a long time. So we like to hear from contemporary masters who are actually in that area, get the feedback and probably get it conveyed to the larger audience. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you for being here. Thank you.
Captain Kamath, thank you so much. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
And also-
Thank you.
and also,
Welcome.
I like the interventions made by Captain Mainkar. Also, it made it more, knowledgeable for people like me who are pre-ECDIS area, pre-ECDIS time. So it is so good. Can you just give small, like nowadays I hear this S57, S100 and all, kya farak padega?
In simple words, if you look at today's ECDIS, it's two-dimensional. And when you come into the new performance standard with new standard 100 and all that, it's going to be three-dimensional. So earlier it was a bird's eye view. Now you will be able to see as you see at the eye level. That's one of them. Then the dynamic data, like your Google map. You are getting closer to a Google map than before. Like you in Google Map, you want to see where's the nearest restaurant, bar, this, that information. All that information, there'll be no nautical publication separate. Today, we still have to go to the publication separately. So it's going to be chart and publication. In fact, the name should be changed, not ECDIS, because it's not only chart, it's chart and navigational data. So the ENC is going to become ENDS. So same way, it should be ENDIS. So, but still, we continue calling it ECDIS.
Are you providing such chart nowadays?
Of the owners, Hapag Lloyd, till recently, they had paper charts as a backup to ECDIS. So we are providing. They have also changing over. However, even today, after 14 years of mandatory, there are various areas in
So Captain Kamath, one query. Now, since you mentioned that this is going to be three-dimensional, so are they going to even manipulate or spoof the underkill clearance?
like a Superman or going underwater like a whale. That is also possible.
So ECDIS kind of. It is not, information is not coming from outside. What is the depth of it? It is already inherent in that chart.
Yes.
Supported by an external media.
No. What is going to come with the new standards is going to be tidal information. It's going to be live. It can be like you will get the actual depth at a given time, which can be from various sources, live from the tide gauges or from the tables. So that's one change which is going to be there.
Thank you so much.
That's exactly true. This interim period, because what is happening, some areas you're still on there is no charts at all. Some areas there are ENCs which are standard 57, the old ones. Some areas only where you have the latest dynamic data coming in. So it's going to be a vast range and it can be confusing. That's exactly what I tell the candidates. Be prepared for these changes. But again, last chart, everything was dynamic. Here it is not, because that's nothing you can do about it.
GPS will be, now you're saying there is a light side and the depth changing light. That is also been the.
So better to be on the shore side in a trainer than sailing. The hazard is higher level.
Well, I've been given this privilege to present a vote of thanks
Thank you.
on behalf of CMMI, CMMI office bearers, respected wardens, senior CMMI members, members of the shipping fraternity, and all the participants. It is my privilege to propose this vote of thanks for today's event. First and foremost, express heartfelt gratitude to Captain Kamlaksh Kamath. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kamlaksh is one of the, how would you say, global experts on ECDIS, which I can very, very proudly and confidently declare. And on this topic, impact of war on ECDIS navigation, thank you, sir, for enlightening all of us. Special thank you to the principal of Anglo-Eastern, Mr. Francis Akara, for presenting the venue. And I'm happy to say that there's a lot of snacks which are waiting for us soon as we move from here. All those online, thank you for being online with us. If there are any ladies, then I'll have to address as ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. We extend a sincere appreciation to Maritime Press, Marex, Bhandarkar Publications, Sailor Today, Sea Job, Sagar Sandesh, and Maritime Destination for covering the event and amplifying its reach. I would also like to acknowledge the contribution of Captain Krishnan, CEO of CMMI, and the unwavering support of our office staff, Mr. Sudhir Palkar and Mr. Kumar Kala. who have worked behind the scenes. Lastly, most importantly, a big thank you to each participant present in person and online, and the engagements that we have made here today with today's lecture meeting and made it meaningful and successful. Thank you all. We look forward to seeing you at our future events.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for patiently listening and contributing.
Small token of appreciation, a humble token, which I'd like Vice Principal Liston Pereira to please give.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So our cafeteria is just around the corner.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thanks to CMMI for the opportunity and thanks a lot. Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was right.